Hi guys! So today I'm going to be making the sequel that nobody asked for. Basically, a few weeks ago I did a video taste testing instant Isombe, Ala Damiano instant Isombe. Now for those who don't know, Isombe is sort of like a spinach side dish made from cassava leaves. So usually you have to go down to your local supermarket, freezer section, you'll find pounded cassava leaves, and then you take that home and you prepare it, and it takes a few hours. But Ala Damiano had freeze dried the cassava leaves, and you just put this preparation into a pan and it was ready in 5 minutes, and it was brilliant. It delivered up perfect Isombe, 5 minutes. I highly recommend the product. It was excellent. But whilst I was preparing for that video, I also picked up a packet of Akeza Isombe. Now, I thought that this was also instant Isombe, but it's not quite. It's basically just dried Isombe that you then still have to prepare. And, you know, I like Isombe, but I don't like it enough to spend a whole day making it. So I was just going to give this away, but it's been sitting on my shelf for a while and I keep looking at it and I keep thinking, oh, sod it, let's just make it. So today I'm going to follow the steps on the packaging, and we're going to actually make a Akeza Isombe to kind of compare it with the Ala Damiano, and you know, is the extra time worth the effort? So let's get going. Step 1, put 1 kilogram of sliced meat or bones in a saucepan. All right, so for today, I've dusted off my trusty giant cooking pot. You can tell that this one's seen some meals. These are usually used over a charcoal stove or a charcoal burner outside, but I don't use a charcoal burner, so I'm just gonna pop it over the gas. And this should be big enough to hold everything that we need to hold today. So let's pop that onto the stove. Okay, so I did mention in the last video that if you're vegetarian or vegan, you need to be a little bit careful of this dish. It is on offer at almost every sort of lunch buffet throughout the country. Any melange will usually have this, and it looks vegetarian because it just looks like spinach, but usually it is cooked up with either meat or fish. So always ask about that. Today I'm going to be using meat bones. I've opted for it. This is 1 kilogram of meat bones. Oh, that was ice falling off it. I have tried to defrost it overnight, but I'm not sure it's entirely there. 1 kilogram cost me about 1,500 francs, so probably around $2. It's very, very cheap meat, and bones have a bit of gelatin and fat in, which adds to the flavour. I don't usually cook meat at home, but for this particular recipe, we're going to give it a go, and I think my cats are going to enjoy it, so yeah. The next 2 steps are boil the meat in 3 litres of water until well done. Put 1 packet of 400 grams of Akeza Isombe, I think the end of that sentence is into the pot, but problem here, right? So it says put 1 packet of 400 grams of Akeza Isombe into the pot. 1 packet of Akeza Isombe is 200 grams, not 400 grams. So this package is half the amount compared to the rest of the ingredients it's telling me to add. Like, Akeza, sort your life out, okay? Or at least sort your packaging out. Honestly, nobody around here proofreads packaging. It's like, how can you tell people that this package is 400 grams when on the same package it says it's 200 grams? So what am I supposed to do? Because if the 400 grams is a mistake and it means to say 200 grams, then the rest of the ingredients is correct. But if 400 grams is correct, then the rest of the ingredients needs to be halved. I don't know what to do. I mean, 1 kilogram of meat does seem like an awful lot for 1 packet of 200 grams of this, so maybe I should halve it. And to be fair, when I was adding the Ala Damiano, the amount of water that it told me to add made it quite runny, and I did say that I should probably have added a little bit less water. So I think what I'm going to try and do is break the difference. I'm going to maybe put 2/3 of this in And I'm also going to reduce the water to 1.5 litres instead of 3 because I can always add more water. So let's give that a go. But Akeza, you're losing points because already I don't appreciate having to do mental arithmetic just to make your Isombe. Okay, let's leave that to start boiling. So next up it says to prepare garlic, celery, onions and tomato, but naturally it doesn't tell you how much of any of it. So I'm just going to process an amount and we'll see. One thing to note here is celery is not what you would think it would be, say in the UK or the US. Here we only use celery leaves. I've never seen anybody selling actual celery stalks. So in the West we'd eat the celery stalks, here people eat the celery leaves. So it's an interesting difference. But yes, I think we've got everything else. Let me go and check the fridge. So the rest of my ingredients is looking a little bit sorry for itself. Not the freshest vegetables, but it'll do. So that's onions, tomatoes. This is the celery leaves. They actually arrived last night and I kept them in the fridge in water, but they're still wilting already. And plenty of garlic, because I'm a bit of a garlic fiend. And the meat is starting to steam up nicely. Give that a little stir. Paul and Sen have definitely noticed what's going on. I think I've mentioned this in previous videos, but in this part of the world, red onions are far more common than white. And I really like that because I love red onions. I definitely know growing up in the UK, it was far more common to have white onions than red. So it's an interesting little geographical difference. I actually don't know how finely you're supposed to chop these, so I'm going to chop them pretty fine. So I think they're supposed to sort of all mix up and mash up in the dish. So let's do it quite fine. I like this. This is perhaps the easiest thing to prepare. Give it a good chop. I might save the stalks for some soup later. This garlic's a little bit old, so it doesn't really crush, but I'll just chop it finely. Put it over here with the celery. It all goes in together. There doesn't seem to be any sort of order to which of these ingredients goes in. So here's all of our ingredients: onions, tomatoes, celery and garlic. And whilst I've been doing that, the meat has been cooking up, so I'm just going to skim the scuzz off the top and add our packet of Akeza Isombe. Okay, so there isn't actually that much scuzz on it, but what I have noticed is that the water has greatly reduced. So I think what I'm going to do is to add some more water, bring that back up to the boil, and then add the Isombe. I'm going to put in about another ½ litre, just to bring it back up to that rim. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be enough. I don't want it to get too runny, but I'm going to wait till that boils and then I'll add the Isombe. According to the package, we're going to add all of this plus our fresh ingredients, and then we're going to stir it and cook for a while. Don't even know how long that is. So we're going to cook for a while. I really don't know how long that is. I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes, I guess. Yeah. This smells very different to the Ala Damiano. So the Ala Damiano had the peanut powder already in it, and it smelled of peanuts. So it had a really nice kind of sweet savoury smell. This has more of a kind of a green smell. So it smells like spinach, like dried spinach. I don't like the smell as much, but that's just because it hasn't got the peanut in, because we haven't added it yet. So in texture, it looks very, very, very similar to Ala Damiano. It's the same freeze-dried pieces, but without the peanut powder, and maybe a little bit more sort of finely ground, so not as many lumpy pieces, but it's pretty much the same thing. Okay, so here we go. In goes the Akeza Isombe. Give that a little bit of a squish. Oh, okay, already I'm thinking maybe it needs a bit more water. Add in our other ingredients, so tomatoes, onions, and then celery and garlic. Lots of garlic. Big garlic fan. Make sure we get it all well incorporated. I think maybe it's losing so much moisture because I haven't covered the pot. There we go. Right, let's leave that for 15 minutes or until the house burns down. Okay, so it's been going now for about 15 minutes. Let's have a little look. It's on fairly high heat. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's turn the heat down a bit and give it a stir. Oh, yeah, it's very thick. It's definitely a Isombe sort of texture. All right, so next on the list it says to add 3 teaspoons of salt and 6 teaspoons of oil. Okay, I'm having a dilemma as to which type of salt to add. I've got sort of the bog standard white iodinized salt that you get everywhere. I've also got some pink Himalayan salt, which they started selling at Sawa City, and this is my new favourite go-to for things like fried eggs and things like that. But then I've also got this, which is Gikukuru, Umunyarwa Gikukuru, and this is it's sort of a black salt that you get for cooking in Rwanda. It comes in like crystalline form, and when it's ground down it has this sort of clay grey look to it, and it does smell a little bit like clay, but it's a sort of a cooking salt that people add to things like potatoes or yams to make them cook a bit faster. I'm not sure if you're supposed to put it in food that you're not going to drain, but I thought I might just give it a go because it's only a teaspoonful, so it can't cause any harm, and it is supposed to make things speed up cooking. Yeah, it does have a very slight clay kind of smell to it. Actually, I've never just tasted it as it is. Let's try a very, very small part. Try a bit more. That's got a really strange taste to it. It doesn't immediately scream salt. It doesn't taste very salty. It's got ever such a slight peppery taste to it. There's a very slight aftertaste of salt. So I think it's taken out of the ground, it's dried and then it's ground. So I think it is a little bit like a mixture of clay and salt. It's perfectly fine for human consumption, so I think I might give that a go. And then we can add some more salt of a different type later if we need to. Okay, I was a little bit wrong. It's not 1 teaspoon of salt, it's 3. So let's just give that a go. We'll just... Oh gosh, that's interesting. It's causing it to bubble up quite a bit. Give that a good mix in. I feel like this is going to be enough Isombe to feed me for a lifetime. And then it says 6 of oil. Now, I'm thinking I should probably use vegetable oil, but I've got sunflower oil, so I'm going to go with that. 6 seems like a lot to... not too sure about why you put the oil in it, but I don't know. Let's give that a bit of a Let's give that a bit of a stir. So we've got oil and salt in there now. I have to really resist the urge to put black pepper. I feel like it really needs black pepper, but I'll add that to the dish later maybe. For now, I just want to kind of follow the exact instructions and see what happens. The next part of the instructions is just to cook until well done. I don't know how long that is. It's actually looking pretty well done at the moment. So maybe I'll give it another 15 minutes, come back and give it a taste. I'm just going to leave it uncovered for now. Okay, so it's had another 15 minutes and it's looking good to me. It's now time to add the peanut flour. So this is a really common cooking ingredient in Rwanda. It is literally just like it sounds. It is ground up peanuts and it's used as a thickener. So a bit like you might use flour. Yes, Sen is telling me that she really wants to try this. I don't think she actually wants to try the Isombe. I think she wants to try the leftover bones I've collected. So I am being nagged at the moment by my cat. So yeah, we're gonna add a bit of this and that should really thicken it up and then it should be ready to eat. Okay, so we're supposed to be adding 5 to 8 tablespoons of ground peanut powder. I wonder if the oil that we put in helps to stop the peanut powder from kind of clumping up. I don't know. I'm not too sure what the role of the oil was. So again, this is not a good dish if you're a vegetarian and it's not a good dish if you're allergic to peanuts. The final step here is we cook for 5 minutes and it should be done. All right, let's set that final countdown. Okay guys, that's a wrap. The timer says it's time to turn it off. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Akeza Isombe. So I'm excited to give this a try. It looks pretty good. It looks like Isombe. The house smells like Isombe. It smells slightly less peanutty, slightly less sweetly peanutty than the Ala Damiano. But when we cooked the Ala Damiano, that had the peanut powder in it from the beginning. So I think that had more chance to infuse into the smell. I did try to find another packet of Ala Damiano so that I could compare them side by side, but everywhere's sold out. I don't know how. Sort of imported goods, I understand. Like a lot of the time you'll find something in the shops and you'll really love it and it'll be there for a couple of weeks and then you'll never see it again, or you'll see it in a few months' time. But it's kind of weird because Ala Damiano is actually made in Rwanda and it's not like there's a shortage of cassava leaves, you know, like cassava leaves grow everywhere and it's made here. So I don't know why there's a shortage of it. But because of that, I can't compare them side by side. I'm going to have to go back to the other video and my memories of what Ala Damiano was like because I remember I really enjoyed it. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to whip up my milk boiled fish again and pair it with that so that it's the same kind of taste comparison. If you want to know how to make that fish dish, you can watch the previous video. I'll leave a link below. But I'll see you in a little while once I've put the plate together. Okay guys, time for the moment of truth. We've got steamed carrots, milk boiled fish, mashed potato and Isombe. Okay guys, it's the moment of truth. How is this in comparison to Ala Damiano? Well, obviously it took longer. Ala Damiano takes about 5 minutes to prepare, 5 to 10 minutes. This takes about 45 minutes to an hour, including all of the preparation of the additional ingredients. I feel like it looks a little bit darker but I might be imagining that. But it's all down to the flavours, so Muri Hegwe. Okay, that's interesting. It feels like it's much softer than the Ala Damiano. I feel like the Ala Damiano had a little bit of chew to it, whereas this is sort of dissolve in your mouth soft. I think the reason for that is that I probably overcooked it. It might have been on the stove a little bit longer than it was supposed to be, but there was a complete and total absence of any form of timing guidance on the recipe. So I don't know how you're supposed to know when it's done. The other thing that I notice is that even though we put in a good 8 tablespoons of peanut flour, I can't really taste it. It doesn't taste very peanutty, whereas the Ala Damiano definitely had a very peanutty flavour and aroma. And I also feel like, although we put extra ingredients in this, like we put the bones in and there was tomato and onion, I don't really feel like I can taste any of those. It's definitely not an unpleasant flavour. Oh, I can taste the garlic a little bit. I did put in a lot of garlic. It's definitely not unpleasant, but being absolutely honest, hold on, let me just try it with some fish first, just to be absolutely sure. If I'm going to be absolutely honest about it, I preferred the Ala Damiano. Not only for how quick it was to make, but I actually think that the flavour was better. And I do believe that if you're going to spend a long time making something, like a lot of extra effort, then you really need that to pay off in the flavour or the texture in some way. And I don't feel that this did. I feel that this is very average Isombe. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. It's perfectly edible. But I wouldn't say it's worth all of that extra effort. So that's just my opinion. So Akeza Isombe, I'm really glad that I made it. I'm really glad that I followed all of the steps to, you know, find out what it tastes like. Because I would have been really curious forever if I hadn't done this. But I don't think I'd buy it again. Whereas the Ala Damiano, if that comes back into the shops, that's definitely something that I would consider picking up again, just because it's so easy to make and it does taste good. So that's my that's my taste test come to a conclusion. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you've tried both of these. You know, have I done something wrong in the cooking steps? But yeah, I'm going to finish up this meal, and I do have enough of it to probably eat for the next 3 weeks now. So, Woody Hegwe.